Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to do a video on how I wrote this letter. I recognize that this is something that you may not have written before or done anything close to writing this before. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to see what my expectations are for this. So with how I wrote this letter, essentially what you are going to be doing is you are going to be taking the 4 course concepts, which are genre, discourse community, research, and critical reading, and applying them to the work that you did over the course of the first 7 weeks of the semester. Think about the first 7 entries that you did for the Module 1 workbook. So what you will be doing is looking for evidence in your own work where you have that you were asked to think about these concepts, maybe directly or indirectly. And during this presentation, I'll give you places that you can focus on for each of these concepts as I also explain the concepts. So genre. A lot of you, when you think of genre, you're going to be thinking of, oh, genre is just my favorite music type or my favorite movies, the type of movies I like. Genre is actually more in reference to a classification of text types or document types. I could go deeper into genre theory. That would be the next concept. By doing that, that would be discourse communities. But for the sake of this class, knowing the genres as classification types and document types such as letters, essays, tweets, memos, poems. That's what you really need to know for this class. So what do letters have in common? What do essays have in common? What do tweets have in common? What do memos have in common? What do poems have in common? What genre does is it helps readers read because they know what to expect from a document. You know, if you are reading a tweet, you are going to expect something that's short, pithy. You're not going to be expecting a long, drawn-out message. If you're reading a poem, it could be very long, but you're going to expect something that's along the, that might have some rhyme to it, might have some cadence to it in terms of a rhythm to it or something. So there are expectations that come with certain types of documents. Whereas the genre helps the reader read, it also helps the writer write because it gives the writer guidance on how to meet the reader's expectations. So if I am going to write, say, a limerick, I know that I need to, have the first 2 lines have certain number of syllables and that they have to rhyme. The next 2 lines also have a rhyme scheme that they have to match, and then the 5th line matches the rhyme scheme of the first 2 lines. That's an expectation that needs to be met. If you're writing a letter, especially a business letter, you also want to be thinking about the expectations of your readers. So as you think about those expectations, it helps you to determine, okay, what do I need to do in this document to make it acceptable to my reader? So in how I wrote this letter, what you want to do is focus on how you reverse engineered the business letters for entry number 5. That will be a good place where you can think about talking about genre in your how I wrote this letter. And I apologize for my dog shaking in the background with her collar on. So discourse communities, this is probably going to be the hardest concept to grasp this semester. John Swells is one of the leading theorists on this, and he just defines it as a group of people involved in communicating about a particular topic, issue, or in a particular field. So what we see here from Elizabeth Hart in this diagram is she has chosen 4 discourse communities that she is part of. She is part of miniature pinchers enthusiasts or lovers. She's a fish fan, young Jewish professionals, and a radiation therapy major. These are all different discourse communities that she is a part of. And as you can see for all of them, what she does is she lists the goals, the values, the specialized vocabulary, and the specialized genre for each of them. So I'm going to focus just real quickly on the young Jewish professionals and the radiation therapy major. So with young Jewish professionals, you know, some of the goals are to connect with other people. The values is to be supportive and friendly. The writing standards are based upon the shared text of the Torah. Specialized vocabulary. This is probably going to be one of the most salient things that you'll be talking about, which is going, in this case for her, it's Hebrew, but it's going to be some of the vocabulary that you were and were not familiar with in the position statements and in some of the scholarship that you read. Specialized genres, emails, websites, and Facebook. Notice how things shift when we move over to the radiation therapy major. And think about your major and because your major is also a discourse community. So the goals, to pass the boards, the values, to be ethical and personable, writing standards, you're always going to be writing in APA style, specialized vocabulary, IGRT, IMRT, AP/PA. I don't know what those mean. I mean, I have a PhD and I don't know what those mean. That's because I'm not part of that discourse community. Specialized genres are textbooks, boards, websites, and Facebook. So, you know, if you are, so when you're writing the how I wrote this letter, what I want you to do is reflect upon how the position statement and the scholarship that you looked at, especially scholarship that most likely, based upon what I read in your entry number 4s, came out of writing or linguistics, discourse communities that you are not necessarily familiar with. And you can talk about how you were unfamiliar with some of this terminology, how you were unfamiliar with some of the aspects of these discourse communities, and what you specifically did as a reader to make yourself more familiar with those discourse communities. Finally, research and critical reading. Research is basically the process of discovering more about a topic by doing textual or secondary research or collecting data, doing primary research. Mostly in this module, you did a lot of textual research, although I did ask you to interview some people. So with that, you have some primary research that you did. When we're looking at critical reading is when you read a text not just for the content, but you are paying attention to how the text is written. How is the author trying to inform you, persuade you, or as another type of persuasion, to manipulate you? You know, we hear a lot these days about fake news and things like that. So, you know, you want to be very aware about how writers are trying to manipulate you, and how what strategies they're using, so that you can identify them when you're reading. So for the how I wrote this letter, what you want to do is focus on applying what you've learned from the Purdue OWL reading. So you had some links for the Purdue OWL reading that you were supposed to do for entry number 4 on finding sources and determining their credibility to discuss these two concepts. So go back to those readings, pull some of those tips and advice that they gave you, and talk about how you did that when you were reading those entries, those articles for entry number 4. Okay, so that's it for now. If you have any questions, I encourage you to email me, call me, and we can set something up and have further discussion. Hope you all have a good afternoon. Stay safe, stay healthy. Take care.